Hold on.
We're recording, David, so you better like get your act together. Let's go.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm always ready. Always ready.
You didn't look like you were ready. You were doing something.
Well, looks can be deceiving, and maybe you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. How about that?
You're not a book, David.
Well, we're all books, Stu. We have chapters of life. We have we're multiple layers like pages, like an onion. And also like an onion, you are full of tears. Like you specifically, lots of tears all the time, which I think is beautiful and I love it.
I actually cried this morning listening to a worship song driving after I dropped my kids off from school
Nice,
to
dude.
the office today.
Yeah, it's good.
Have you listened to the song is called Psalm 23 from Phil Wickham, and he has a female that jumps in. I don't know her name, but dude, I started like singing that song at the
Stuff.
top of my lungs and like
Yeah.
I started tearing up, dude.
Now, for real though, did you start tearing up because of the sound of your own voice was assaulting your ears,
It
or
was
because
no, it was
the
beautiful.
song was the song was moving?
The song was moving
Oh,
and my
that's good.
voice
That's good.
was incredible. I'm not gonna lie.
I have literally cried in the past at your voice, um, because it also moved me to tears,
Let me ask you
both in
this.
singing and just talking.
Let me ask you this. Change subjects
Yeah.
just a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you get like super frustrated with your kids when
No.
they say we're at dinner and you made a meal and they immediately say, "Oh, that's gross. I'm not eating that."
No.
But they've
Never.
never
I never.
they've never even tasted it ever. Like
Mm-mm.
immediately they're just like, "That's gross." But they've never
Oh,
tried it.
I've never gotten frustrated by that. My wife never gets frustrated by that. But actually, we are very much into the growth mindset. We don't believe in scarcity, and nor are we a fixed mindset family. So we actually frustration is a foreign concept to us
Oh,
in our parenting. Yeah, we're just constantly like, man, I know that you kids are should be grateful and you're spoiled, and I know that, but your complaining in this moment is an opportunity for us to help you cultivate and nurture your growth mindset. And so thank you for that, children, because it's an opportunity for me to grow and nurture and cultivate my growth mindset,
uh-huh.
which is actually an outpouring and an abundance of gratitude for when my kids show a complete lack of just thankfulness for all the things that they have. So yeah, no, we don't. That's not something we
Okay,
experience in
so
our house.
so I need some mentorship here because
Yeah, yeah.
lately, literally every single night for the past like 2 weeks, I've made a meal, plopped it down in front of their little faces, and my son's like, "That's gross. I'm not eating that." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Dude, it's tacos. Like you love tacos, dude. It's spaghetti. No, it's gross." So mentor me here. What do you do as a father figure to
Yeah.
to
I'll
have
tell
an
you exactly
abundant
what you
to
do.
have a growth
I'll tell you
mindset?
exactly what you do. So you have a dog now, right?
I do. I do have a
Yeah.
dog.
Do you have to give the dog oral medicine? Like I had to do
No,
this the other day. I give up my dog a monthly flea and heartworm pill. And my
no
dog is not the kind of dog that just scarfs up. You can't like wrap a
medicine.
pill
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in
And
like
cheese or
meat
something.
and he'll eat it. Like he like will separate in his mouth the
Yeah,
cheese and the
yeah.
pill. Like, I take his upper jaw and his lower jaw and I open them and I drop the food really deeply and then I hold it shut. I hold his mouth shut and then I can see him, swallow it, and then the process is done and we're all good. And I scratch him behind his ear.
So is that what you do for
I,
your
I
kids too?
say, yeah, I say you take the exact same approach. You
Oh,
grab you open their mouths
yeah.
and you put the food in and then you shut their mouths and you hold their mouth closed
Oh,
and the only option really at some point is that they
I have
that
to
they
swallow.
consume it
Uh-huh.
and then ultimately you're like, okay, mission complete, dinner's done, like scratch them behind their ear, send them on their way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a It's a new parenting technique I've never heard of
Hey
before.
man,
So maybe I'll try it. I'll let you know how it goes.
yeah, let me know how it goes.
Thank you for your mentorship.
And that's for free. That's for free, dude.
Thanks, man.
I'm not even gonna charge you on that. That you normally I charge for that kind of stuff, but because
Friend tax.
you're a friend and a brother. Yeah. No, I'm not gonna offer any advice because I think everybody is different, but I will, all joking aside, my kids, I mean that dude, they're ungrateful for most things in life. And I think, from a mindset perspective, that's what today we're talking about is mindset. It's one of the it's one of the topics on the circle, the kinetic life circle. And I have really had to assess in their challenging moments, like, what does that say about me? My reactions, like where am I fixed or growth mindset? And do I see opportunities in my parenting uh to grow and to be creative and to do whatever, or is it just purely like do as I say and just do it and move on? And I think there's a place for all of that, right? But I think the valuable lesson is the assessment, the self assessment of how we're approaching it, right? How are we coming to this? And do we have a fixed mindset like, well, just good dads are good dads and they're born, or I mean, I have an opportunity to, in all these areas, to grow. How can my reaction, um, even in discipline, spur my own growth and ultimately model growth for them? And I think we there's so many things that we could do creatively, and I also think we've gotten so accommodating that, like, sometimes, hey, okay, cool, like you're hungry. Like, I've sent my kids to bed hungry, and dude, it's rough. You got to be committed to it. And there's some concessions we've made in the past, right? Like, cool, all right, well, you're excused. We're gonna enjoy our dinner. Well, not, you're not excused. You're gonna sit here because we do dinner together, and we're gonna have conversation, and you're gonna whatever. And when they go to bed, I'll tell, like, Noah, like, hey, dude, just so you know, when you're like super hungry, there's going to be a banana option for you, and that's it, right? Like, that's it. Like, there's going to be a banana option, and there's been plenty of nights that Noah's gone to, Noah specifically, Jake never, because that dude just
He just
throws
crushes
down.
food.
But where he goes to bed, and he's had a banana for dinner, and he's hungry and crying, and I mean, there's consequences to things too. But also, I think there's a growth mindset of like, hey, like, let's embrace actions have consequences in our own lives as well, right? In our own lives as well. So I don't know if that's helpful, but good luck with that.
Yeah, thanks, man. No,
Yeah.
you make a good point. Like we had just a few episodes ago, Michael Anderson, his level up advice I thought was pretty spot on, specifically kind of to mindset and what you're speaking of is before we react, before we respond to whatever's going on with our kids or somebody else, a business partner, a best friend, a wife, whoever, right? Before we immediately go to like, oh, well, it's their fault. Like, why are they reacting this way? Instead of going, putting kind of the blame on them, like first go inside, go internal into my own heart and check like what's going on here, right? Um, and the few times I've done that, I've done it well a couple of times. Maybe on one hand, I can count the times I've done well in that. It's been really helpful. It's been really helpful to then respond in a way that I probably wouldn't have responded otherwise. So
That's funny. We started saying, I pulled this from a dude, a good buddy of mine who coached football with, and I just loved it. He was a Marine, and he always says, "Hey man, you play dumb games, you win dumb prizes." And I don't know why that is so profound, but it's funny because now, like, my kids will repeat that back. So
oh
I'm like,
really?
hey, you play dumb games, you win dumb prizes. So, like, you want to, like, not eat, like, you're gonna be hungry. That's your dumb prize that you get.
Yeah,
Congratulations, you win. You're hungry and
that's
you're
good.
crying, but dude, I've used that now so many that one is almost on par with my you can want in one hand and poop in the other. Like, those two
Yeah.
sayings have been used a number of times in my family, and it's so funny because my kids, they'll now just like, yeah, dad, that was a dumb prize. I'm like, yep, you played a dumb
Yep.
game. Like,
Dumb game.
congratulations.
Dude, I'm gonna
Like,
use
you
that.
go out and you jump on the driveway and there's ice all over it. Yeah, you fall and you bust your butt. Like, congratulations. You played a really stupid game and you
That
got a
was a dumb
really
game.
stupid prize. So
That's good.
yeah,
I'm gonna add that to my sane
that's a good one,
portfolio.
man. It's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one. Play
Good.
dumb games, win dumb prizes. But and so we do want to talk about mindset. And again, this is a topic that we just ran through with the dudes. We all kind of ran through this, and it's interesting because I think it's made some pretty profound impacts on my life, and I think within our vision of what we're doing locally and online with communities. I think the mindset is a huge aspect of that, because it just makes you think differently. If you think differently and you intentionally choose in all these different areas of life to specifically seek out and what it means to have a growth mindset, it changes things. And again, when I say that very intentionally, when you seek out to have a growth mindset, there are, I think so many people get this wrong in the sense of it's a state of mind. And I either have it or I don't, right? No, man, like every single aspect of your thought life and your the things that you do, there's opportunity to approach it from a growth or a fixed place. And the other side of that is the growth and the fixed aspects all have actions tied to them. There's a list of actions that you could derive from either the fixed or the growth mindset, right? Like, it's not, oh, this is how I think. That's an aspect of it. That's a not a perspective. That's an aspect of living a life of having a growth mindset. But really, what sets it apart and what really shows if you live in a growth or a fixed mindset is the actions, the way you talk, the words that come out of your mouth, the way you interact, the things that you believe to be true. So then drives specific actions and how you conduct yourself. And I think that's the important part, is that it goes way beyond what's in here. And I'm pointing to my head. It goes way beyond what's in here, and it goes more into the way you walk it out, the way you live it out, right? And how that drives actions and emotions and all the things that you live on a day-to-day basis. And so, as we love to do, we always define these things first. And I'll just, fair warning, if you're on a mindset journey, dude, you could Google mindset, and there's so many frameworks, right? Like, I
So
think when I
many.
did this, I think when I initially did this study, when I was preparing for this, I just was curious on what was out there, and I started Googling mindset and whatever. Dude, there was a 7 steps, a 7 mindset, different mindsets. There's a 14 mindsets. There's a 3. There's all these different mindsets. And so, for us, we really love Carol Dweck and her book, Mindset. And so we've really landed, on the specifically the growth and the fixed. And I think what both of us have really appreciated about the book is that it's all about action too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she dives in and the data and all the things with the mindset stuff and the way you think, but it was about, like, no kidding, a fixed mindset. These are the words you use in this situation. A growth, like, these are the words you use in this situation. This is how you approach these things. And she gave very cool examples. So if you've not read that book, I highly recommend it. Incredible book, but that's, where you and I have landed. So that's why we use growth versus fixed as even as we define this. So the definition, dictionary definition, is a series of self-perceptions or beliefs people hold about themselves, which determine, this is the key part that we were just talking about. So it's self-perceptions or beliefs people hold about themselves, which determine behavior, outlook, and mental attitude. Your behaviors are determined by the mindset that you bring into your life. And again, it's not one, I may have a very growth mindset around whatever, working out and what I believe I can achieve, but I may have a very fixed mindset in the way that I raise my kids. Like, it's not a one. Yep, I'm just a growth minded person.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that mean? Well, no, in this area, you're definitely not. Like, how do you address that? So that self-awareness is critical, because it drives, again, it determines behavior, outlook, and mental attitude. The established set of attitudes held by someone. That's another definition, is the established set of attitudes held by someone. Again, that's important because it's an established set of attitudes. You have power over that as well, right? Like, how tightly I hold these attitudes is within my power to determine that. specific to our definition as derived from Mindset, the book, Carol Dweck. So the growth mindset, in a growth mindset, people believe that their most basic abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. Brains and talent are just a starting point. This view creates a love of learning and resilience that is essential for great accomplishment. That is a quote by Dweck from her book. Uh, our view on that, you thrive on challenge, right? And you don't see, we don't collectively see failure as a way to describe ourselves, but in the growth mindset, it's a springboard. It's a springboard for growth and developing our abilities. That's what failure. That's how you look at failure, how you approach it.
Right.
Um, and our intelligence and our talents are all susceptible to growth. You're not born smart, right? Like you're not born with all the tools,
Well, I
and that
was, but
goes. Yeah, you were, but that was on a very graduated scale. It was also you can also have negative negative measurements, right? Like a baseline of 0, and then you're below that. Uh, but that's also where that manifests is when your kids come home, hey, man, you're so smart. You're so this stuff comes so easy to you. Like you're so good at math. These different, we don't realize it, but those are planting seeds of growth or fixed mindset, right? It's not I try really hard to say, man, I love how hard you worked at math. I love
yeah.
how diligent of a student you are. You really put a lot of studying into that. Good job. Your grades are reflective of the effort that I saw you exude in this semester. Like it's a twist on the words, but it's powerful. And then finally, for fixed mindset, the definition in a fixed mindset, again, this is a quote, in a fixed mindset, people believe their basic qualities like their intelligence or talent are simply fixed traits. They spend their time documenting their intelligence or talent instead of developing them. I love that. They spend their time documenting instead of developing. They also believe that talent alone creates success without effort. That's a fixed. And so, for us, I'm either good at something or I'm not. Like it's just black and white. I'm good or I'm not. That's a very fixed mindset. So if you find yourself saying that, that's very indicative that, well, I have a fixed mindset here. Do you have something on that?
Yeah, man. I thought it was so one of the exercises that we do inside the group was basically take a look at our kinetic life circle and where we graded ourselves as far as 1 through 10 on a level of not good to good, and how you're doing, how you're grading yourself in those areas, and then see where you land as far as identifying yourself with a certain mindset in those areas of your life. And I found that the the harder you grade yourself, saying, like if I'm a 2 in some area, you're probably going to have a fixed mindset in that area because maybe it's a hard area of your life, and maybe there's something, these words that you're saying to yourself, maybe there's some identity that you've formed around yourself in that category that has put you down the road of having this fixed mindset towards that area in your life. Um, Case in point, for a long time I've always just like said, like, I don't like to talk on the phone. I'm not really a social guy, right? I I get worn out from talking so much, right? That's kind of a fixed mindset, and I've forced myself this year, and I've put like reminders on my calendar to make more reach outs, to do check-ins, to schedule calls, to be more social, and I'm getting pretty good at it. I'll be honest. Like I'm starting to enjoy it more, right? Because I've forced myself to grow in that area of connecting and networking and making myself be uncomfortable by being quote social. Um, so I think there's always an area for growth when you start diving in and recognizing maybe there's something you've been saying your entire life. Maybe there's an area where you like are grading yourself low in an area. I would say pour into that, right? And force yourself to be uncomfortable in those areas to get better, because you absolutely can get better.
Yeah, I love that, dude. And I think that we should challenge any I am just whatever statements, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm just, this is how I was born. This is, yeah, I heard something the other day. I think it was John Mark Comer. It was John Mark Comer. And he was talking about, I don't know why this just popped in my head, but he was talking about the idea of our children and us as fathers and how we pass on things generationally.
Yeah.
And he said, and it's in the saying, like father, like son. He said his response was, but we have two fathers,
Yeah.
right? And the other
Yeah.
father is vastly more is vastly more powerful, greater. Like, but we people of faith, we claim we have two fathers. So how do I become more like the Father God, who's infinite? Right? Like he's infinite, he's all knowing, he's omnipotent, he's omniscient, he's the king of the universe. So how to become more like that father? And oftentimes we don't claim it that way, right? We look at the limited dad and we'll use that as the example of or even the excuse of why I am how I am. And
Yeah.
and we do that so often. We let ourselves off the hook. And in all reality, it's a lie to keep us potentially on the sidelines. Right?
Yeah. I
The people
think
that you don't talk to, they're not benefiting from the blessing of a relationship with you, or they're not benefiting from the blessing of the words that you may speak into their life that day. And you, by saying this is how I am, or by doing that in the past, are effectively not only just for you, but you're withholding blessing. And a lot of us don't think that way. We just don't have that perspective. Or it's not that we don't, it's just that we've never considered that perspective, right?
yeah. I listened to that exact same episode. I actually wrote down one of his quotes. It's very similar to what you're talking about. He said that the most important thing that we can give our children is our character and our love for God. The most important thing that we can give to our children is our character. Well, a part of that character is the mindset that we bring, the mindset that we, pass down to our children. And if they're hearing us say, I can't do this, I don't like this, this is gross, this is hard. If we're passing that down to them, they're just going to do the exact same thing. Right. And so, like, for me, I've really been trying to be intentional about my words around my kids, like you had mentioned before. The I can'ts, like they've gone away. Um, and I've intentionally tried to like put myself in situations to try to do hard things. And I've even tried to like almost let them see me fail at things and talk about my failures around the dinner table a whole lot more to just show them that, hey, dad tries and dad fails too. Um, and one of our sayings that for our family is Graziers do hard things. And so anytime like my kids are like complaining or don't want to do something or this is hard or I don't like this, Graziers do hard things. It's the first thing that comes out of my mouth. And now same thing, they're like, oh yeah, Graziers do hard things. But like they're starting to say it too. And they're starting to kind of get put in that category of a growth mindset. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. And I think, I was just thinking about the other day. So I give my kids, it's not punishment. They're awarded burpees for their misdeeds. They earn, again, part of the, you do dumb things, you win dumb prizes. Well, so I make the way I talk about burpees. I didn't in the past, but the way I talk about it now, I assign them in the past, but I talk about them differently. Now I talk, it's very positive. Like, hey, this makes you stronger. This is good for you. The fact that you have so many is simply based on you giving me an opportunity to help you grow both mentally and physically and ideally spiritually
That's good.
through burpees, because burpees they can be a spiritual thing
They
if you
can
get
they can be a
once you get to a
spiritual
certain
thing.
number.
Yep.
But it was interesting, and these are not, I don't want to paint a picture that's not true. It's not like, so this conversation I'm about to highlight with my son was not like a conversation that was, I was like, hey son, here's this perspective of mine. And he was like, dad, I really appreciate that. And,
Yeah.
I'll execute. That's not at all
Really?
what
That's
happened,
how
but
that's how it always goes in my family.
right. But when my son, Jake, my middle son, uh, I make them do a lot of up downs at football practice also. Like
Okay.
they
Yeah.
they earn up downs, they earn, and I mean, that's just a part of football culture, right?
Yep.
To do a lot of push-ups, a lot of up downs. And I was like, hey, and I awarded him some burpees the other day for some things that he did in the house. And man, it was like he was like, it's so hard. He's like crying, he's like whining and crying. And I'm like, hey, buddy, why don't you ever do this at football practice in front of all your buddies?
Mm.
I give you way more up downs. You're wearing pads. You're fully like it's not easy. Why do you not do this in front of your buddies? Like, why do you not cry at football practice? And in my mind, I'm trying to have a logical conversation. Like, just get it done. Like, you've done them, you can do them. You can do them. Like, but in his head, it's emotional because he's being awarded a punishment.
Right.
And so I'm trying to have this conversation around, hey, dude, like you can do this, and you do it, and you look at it differently when it's here and when it's at football. And he's like, well, football, it's because we, like, he gave me all these reasons. I'm like, yeah, okay. So, and he never like acknowledged or drew the conclusion and went up and did them. Like, it still was a fight. But
Yeah.
my hope is, again, we talk about character. If you look at character as something I'm passing on to my kids as a package, and here's my character, then you have a fixed mindset, right?
Right.
I'm passing on part of the character I want to pass on to my kids is them, exactly to your point, realizing I don't have it figured out. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly evolving. I'm constantly changing. I'm open to growth in my perspectives and my opinions. That the character of growth is what I want to pass on to them. And so I'm hoping that those conversations somewhere get buried back in his head, and the dots connect at some point. But that's the whole. It's interesting because I look at him and it's so obvious. But where am I doing the same thing? Where do I know? Like, I know certain things. Like, when I procrastinate, like, I've done a lot of the things that in the past the history would show that I've accomplished or done whatever. But even working out regularly, I was challenged significantly yesterday. I was talking to a guy from my past and just connecting, and it was an awesome conversation. And I was like, man, I'm kind of struggling with my health and getting like, he's like, dude, you worked out every day. Like, you worked out every day. And when he said that, I'm like, that was part of how he knew me, was the guy that
Mhm.
worked out every day in the Navy. And I was like, it was like it was a suck to the gut. I'm like, oof, man, I have. And then he said, made the joke, and that's what happens. Military guys retire, and like, that's the normal. But him saying that, I know it's true, but I'm also like, oh man, I don't want to be that guy. So how have I gone from a growth to a fixed in these areas of my life? Because it can happen overnight, right? And so it's just a really good, I think it's a really good place for us also to acknowledge, all right, where am I, where am I prone to backslide into a fixed mindset? Lastly, one of the things that is this critical that we do is identity, right? You talked about identity.
Yeah.
So identities, and for us, kinetic men have a growth mindset. That is a statement. It's emphatic. We know that mindset is a critical aspect of who we are and who we want to become. Mindset is something we intentionally develop, change, and use to maximize our potential and achieve our highest and best. Again, part of that acknowledgement, the develop, change, and use to maximize our potential and achieve our highest and best, is also recognizing, yes, okay, I have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Awesome. In what areas of my life, right? Like, you always have to go deeper. You always have to ask the next question. You always have to define what mindset truly means to us, because that's where people, I think, myself included, that's where I start to fail, because it's a nice buzzword, dude. Sounds
Yeah.
good, right?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that I realized is, I could say like I'm noticing that I have a fixed mindset in this area of my life, and I'm going to change my mindset and I'm going to now go do hard things and grow. Like that's not going to happen on my own accord, right? I have to surround myself with other individuals that are going to push me past that comfort zone, hold me accountable to the things that I said I'm going to do, hold me accountable to say, "Hey dude, you said you wanted to get better in this area. Did you do it? No? Why not? Oh, you need someone to come along with you and go do it with you? Cool, I'll be there. 5 a.m. gym, let's go." Right. And so I've found that it is so much harder to once identify that I have a fixed mindset in an area to then be like, all right, I was going to go fix it on my own. Like that doesn't happen. You and we were talking this week about doing more reach outs, right? And putting up, a calendar and making some plans to like have a battle rhythm of having conversations with men and going deep and having one-on-ones and reaching out to people. And you're all about it. Like that's your comfort zone. You love doing it. And I've just been like kind of standing back and be like, yeah, but like you told me, hey, I want I want a plan. I want you to come up with a number, give it to me. I'm gonna hold you accountable to it, and you're gonna get better in this area. And that is what we need. We need someone to come alongside to hold you accountable, to push you to grow. Because I just don't think we can do it on our own. I
Not
really
giving
don't.
me that. You're not giving me that do out either.
I
And
know.
one thing I want to make clear about that though, I never said it was important for you to do more reach outs, right? Like I never
No.
projected my goals onto you. I never suggested that you should do anything. You said it.
Yeah.
You said it was important to you. And I think that's a critical thing as we get into these relationships with folks, as we dive deep and we say that we truly want to make changes and do stuff and things. A growth mindset doesn't mean that it really, and I think where it's a challenge for a lot of us, especially, type A, like high achiever, type folks. We look at other people's um we look at other people's areas of growth mindset and where they excel and all that, and we try to make it ours. It's a comparison game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It becomes a comparison game, and I think that a critical aspect of this mindset thing is self-aware, doing the hard work to become self-aware, to name the person that you want to become. And what feeds into that, it's not just naming I think if you name the type of person, I'll be honest. Like I'm not the type of guy that tells my kids, you can be anything you want to be. Like that's not
Yeah.
me. Like I
Yeah.
don't believe in that. Like I don't believe, it's not that I limit them, but I also believe that God created us a certain way and he gave us gifts. And if we don't honor that, then we're not fulfilling our highest and best to serve others,
Right.
not to serve ourselves, to serve others. And so there's a level of self-awareness and hard work that goes into being able to acknowledge where I am gifted, where I am potentially talented and my intelligence, whatever, the things that I was born with that set me apart and make me unique and make me who I am. We all have those things. And I'm not denying those. It's just how you look at them, right? And if you don't have the self-awareness to understand who you are and how you're built and the things that give you passion, then it's also very difficult to define the person that you want to become in the context of those gifts. Because like I can tell you, I feel amazing joy and fulfillment in the things that I'm now pursuing where I know God has gifted me in certain ways.
Yeah.
And I can grow in that. And it's not even in the areas, acknowledging the areas where I'm not strong, figuring out how to resolve that is also very growth. Like, yeah, I don't enjoy checking emails and administrative stuff. So I can potentially bless somebody else's life by hiring them, giving them money to do that for me. And then we're both excelling. right?
You should do that sooner than later, by the way, because
Dude, so I'm looking at it
definitely need some growth in the area
in
of checking
January.
email.
I'm definitely looking very seriously into that. But all that being said,
I'll hold you accountable to that.
thank you. All that being said is we have to understand what we want and how we're built and all the things before we can go and ask for accountability on the thing, like to make it last, right? And so
Yeah.
this quote from Carol Dweck, I love this quote. For 30 years, my research has shown that the view you adopt for yourself profoundly affects the way you lead your life. So the view you adopt for yourself profoundly affects the way that you lead your life. Implied in that is that you actually have a view that you have adopted for yourself. That wasn't given to you by the society. That wasn't something that your dad or your mom built in you. Like you've adopted that for yourself. That requires work. And that profoundly affects the way you lead your life. It can determine whether you become the person you want to be and whether you accomplish the things you value. Okay, so even inherent in that, like that sounds beautiful. But my mind immediately goes to it determines whether I become the person I want to be. Do I know the person I want to be? Is there any context for that? And and whether I accomplish the things I value. What do I value? Have I done any work
Right.
to define what I value? Once you do that work, dude, the possibilities are endless because now you have a roadmap. And then you can say, hey, Stu, here's my roadmap. This is what I believe. Feed into that first off. What do you think? Do you see this in me? If I'm like, hey, Stu, like I totally believe I can be somebody's administrative a boon to their processes and systems because that's what efficient, effective workflow looks like, and I'm passionate about that. You'd be like, dude,
No, you're not.
you're smoking crack, bro. Like I would never hire you to do anything administrative for me. And I'm like, oh, that's a good word. Like, I should dive into that. But that being said, I can say, Stu, this is the path I want to go on. And this is what I believe I'm gifted. Do you agree with it? You know me, you love me. Am I on the right path? Yep, dude. Like I see these gifts in you. Yes. All right. Will you walk with me on that? Yes or no, right? You don't have to, but yeah, this is where we align. I wanna hold you accountable in that place. Sweet, dude. Like, let's do it. That's a very, very powerful process.
Yeah.
And the results could be absolutely life-changing, phenomenal. So I ask you, Stu, will you drive out here every morning? You're already up to to meet me and we go do a 5 o'clock workout together.
No.
Oh, wow. You're a jerk.
I love you, but no. There's I think there's two action steps that I think that we could take away from this conversation to leave with is one, I think first and foremost, we need to do some work to understand ourselves. To like do the deep internal heart work to understand who we are, how God made us to be, what we're gifted at. And that's not easy. Like that's a journey in and of itself. Like that's not just like an overnight thing. We've done a lot of work internally. I mean, I think some of the ones that you can do pretty quickly are, some of these personality profile tests, the Enneagram and the Strengths Finder. And there's a bunch out there, right? Myers-Briggs. And you say you did that one that was really good, Myers-Briggs?
No, it was the CI, the Culture Index. It
Culture
was a really
Index.
good
Yep.
one.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So some of those can give you a really good idea of where you're at. And then kind of dive into those deeper, right? But then I think the next thing that probably could be more powerful is what you hit on is like get around someone who really knows you for who you are and can see your blind spots and can highlight the positives and the negatives. um you know Obviously for us that's the two of you, that's the two of us, but like do you have a friend? Do you have a deep relationship with someone? Do you have a covenant friend? We talked about that with Justin Whitmore earlier in his book Made for People. Do you have a covenant friend? Do you have someone that knows you fully and loves you anyway? And like pour into that and like ask hard questions and ask them to give you their thoughts on who you are, right? I think that could be really, really helpful to understand who you are, what God made you to be, and then you can grow in that.
Yeah, 100%, man. I can't encourage enough the journey of even being like, you know uh what are my values?
Yeah.
And then tying that, taking that all the way back to some actions, right? And what that looks like. And that also will challenge you if it really is a value of yours or not. Right? My value, I'm super generous. Sweet. What do you give? Like
And what's your bank
time or
account look like?
treasure? What do you give any time or treasure? Nah, I'm really busy. Okay, cool. Like it's not a value. There,
Yeah, right.
there's some value. There's a ton of there's a ton to be gained from understanding that's not truly a value because I don't live it out, right? And
Yep.
on the other side of that, there's a ton of value, or there's a ton of benefit in really naming and understanding the values of where you do show up in an exceptional way, and that could lead to and then also acknowledging I can get better in that. And so like you have grown tremendously in like something that's I don't want to say it's natural to me. I want to say it's very energy giving. It's I was born in a way that conversations and connections and all that kind of stuff feeds me very selfishly. So it's not like I'm good at it because I'm a completely service minded individual. No, dude, I'm very selfishly I'm fed by relationship and connection. And so me pursuing that is also a selfish endeavor. But I think you seeing that in me and challenging my motivation potentially, and then you saying, seeing something in me that challenges you that you want to potentially grow in that area, like us coming together in that is that's jet fuel for both of us
Yeah.
to pour into what it is that and really for both of us that value, the core value in that is serving men and building communities. Like that's the core value. And so how we approach that looks very different, but that's the value. We've established that. And so now we backwards plan. What does that look like? Well, that looks like in person here. That looks like an online community here. That looks like a retreat. You know, that drives actions. And how can we grow? We know that's a core value for us collectively. How do I grow in that? How do I invite others into that? And that's where you step that all the way back to, hey, I need to get better at committing to call 5 dudes a week or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know what your goal is going to be. You owe that to me. And then it's easy check-in, right? It's an easy check-in at that point. Hey, dude, did you call like a guy today? Nope. Okay. Like, is it really important to you? Not really. All right, cool. Like, let's revise it. I'm not judging it. I don't care. It's your goal.
Right.
Hey, David, did you work out today? I didn't. Oh, why not? Because it clearly wasn't a priority. Oh, okay, cool. Well then stay fat. Catch you later. Love you. I love you anyway.
Love
Like
you.
that's the I love you anyway part, right?
Yep.
So yeah, man, it can be very powerful, but I don't want to if you just find yourself saying I have a growth mindset, dude, I mean, cool. Like that's great. That's like a self-proclaimed IQ. I have an IQ of 350. Oh, really? Sweet. Because why? Because you said so? Yep. Okay, cool. Like, have fun. No, dude. Like, let's do something about it. Let's no kidding be able to articulate exactly what it is that you're doing and what it ties back to and why it's important to you.
Good stuff, bro.
Giddy up. Giddy up. And then ultimately, dude, like become like the whole point of all this, the mindset is not the goal. Becoming the person you want to be is the goal. The
Yep.
mindset is one of the mechanisms and tools to help drive you towards becoming the man or woman that you want to be based on whatever set of core values you have determined are important to you and why God created you.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it.
So that I don't know why this came to mind, but the song from the Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls.
You're doing a little like
You stick
TLC.
to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. I don't know why that song came to mind, but it kind of fits. Kind of.
Being a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Go chase your waterfalls, boy. Go chase your waterfalls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome way to end it. That was really
You're
profound.
welcome.
We got to hear you sing, and I love that. So
You're welcome.
thank you. I was inspired to tears there momentarily.
Bye now.
Not for the reasons that you think. But hey, growth opportunity, singing. I love it.
Don't go
Okay, yeah,
chasing
let's hang this
waterfalls.
up. Yeah, sorry.
Please
Sorry to all
stick
our
to the.
listeners.
Bye bye
See
now.
ya.